This is Casper de Nora, and you're watching the Chat with Chaps live show.
Take two. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining another Midweek Live, an eventful show, I'm sure, on the back of very disappointing display on Saturday. But let's get on. We'll come on to that in due course. First and foremost, thanks for joining us all. As you will have noticed, it's Disco Steve here hosting tonight's show with my co-hosts, Chris and Stephen, and we'll come on to them in a minute. But you'll be really sad to see that the master host, Joe, is not with us tonight. Look, don't worry. He's not off with Billy Smith's wife doing anything untoward. It is actually well, he could be possibly, but as a birthday treat. But as he mentioned last week, he is the phenomenal Hawaii 5-0 today. Today, actually, guys, ladies and gentlemen. He is 50 today, so many congratulations to Joe from all of us. And I'll bang a quick question out there for all the listeners. Who was Millwall's manager on this day, and who was Millwall's captain on this day when Joe was born? So one for you to be looking at between yourselves. But joining me tonight, we've got a great lineup. Great to introduce. Doesn't need any introduction. It's the boss, it's the gaffer, it's the leader of our squad, Mr. Chris Chapman. Welcome, Chris.
Hello. Yeah, thank you. I'm enjoying coming on these. It's good, isn't it? Would prefer to have come on in better circumstances. I think Saturday was a real reality check, but you know, maybe a blessing in disguise, and I'm sure we'll get onto that. So, yeah, looking forward to the show, Disco.
Yeah, spot on. Thanks for coming on, Chris. Really appreciate it. And another man who absolutely needs no introduction, but I can tell you for nothing, this guy has more stats than Nathan Jones does fist pumps in a game watching Charlton. It's our very own Stato Stephen.
Well, again, like Chris, it's quite nice coming on the lives. You get a really nice intro, and the listeners don't need to know, Steve, that you didn't press record the first time we started to go live. We had to do it again. They don't need to know that. It's all good, you know. It stays between us. But no, it's been an interesting show. Also, Chris and I are at a massive disadvantage because we have no idea on your question because we're not the same age as Joe. We don't know who is the captain, the manager. So we are at a disadvantage. Any time to have a little dig at Joe is an easy opportunity, and I will take it. So, no, really good to be here. And unfortunately, not a great result, but I'm sure we'll get into it and go from there.
Yeah, spot on, mate. Good to have you on. And look, there was a clue with the manager recently, actually, and we talked about him on this show. So leave that for now. But look, in terms of an agenda tonight, guys, before we go to the chat and just see who's joining us, look, we're obviously going to look back at the Borough game. We think we need to dissect that into the first half display, second half display. And we've also got something very special going to happen, first ever on this show. So watch out for that in about 10 minutes time. So yeah, fingers crossed, Chris is in control with that one. We're also then going to look at, sadly, the Alfie Doherty injury, have a little chat about that. And then look forward to the Sheffield United game. There's a lot more going on within all that, guys, but that's a top line agenda. But look, without further ado, I think I should quickly go to the chat and just say a quick hello to everybody who's joining us. Terry, evening, gents. Evening to you, Terry. Thanks for getting in nice and early. David Turner, yes, it should be lively. And yet, looking forward to it, some lively and interesting debate. Chris has put up there, look, that exactly what I said before. Really good, interesting feature that we're going to have. Evening, Carl, regular viewer. Thanks for coming on. And Starman, yet again, top of the shop. John, really can't thank you enough, mate. Really great for you to donate as you do on a weekly basis. So thanks very much. And on that, guys, obviously it's all going to a great cause for cancer research. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Put comments on the YouTube after the show or during the show, because all that helps with the algorithms and us being able to raise more money. Thanks again, John. Much appreciated. Craig, evening all. Bad day at the office. Won't matter if we finish the season with 45 wins. Absolutely. I think that's the plan, Craig, no doubt. Another friend of the show, Jeff Chandler. Good to see you again. Absolutely, you too, Jeff. Chris Brown, evening all. Now that's made me feel better, Chris. You've made me smile already. Thanks for that. Yeah, can't be as bad as supporting West Ham, that's for sure. There's old Jeff, my mate. Keep the faith. We all know what it's like being a Millwall fan. Absolutely, Jeff, 100%. Alex S, on time as always, a regular feature now. And evening to you, Alex. Evening all to Dave W. Connor, another regular. Evening, lads. Evening to you, Connor. Oh, Alex has got a comment in here. Blame Jesper for that display. What a choker for the Danish destroyer coming all that way over to watch the game, and we go and treat him to a 3-0 defeat. What an absolute joker. But hopefully you all saw the video that's on YouTube as well of Jesper. Really, really good take as well. That evening chats from Ian D. Gummers. Not looking forward to the recap. Well, yeah, I think there's some useful points we can look at and take some good and bad news out. Lewis Hope, evening, lads. The lovely Rosalind is joining us. Evening, Rosalind. Mark Murphy. This is going to be an interesting one. Absolutely, Mark. Disco is tonight's DJ, 100%. Well, watch this space. Chris might change that in a bit. Happy birthday to Joe. Absolutely, from Mark. And Carl, Disco puts that. Thanks, Carl. Happy birthday to Mr. Zampa. How the hell is Joe only 50? Absolutely. Is that only 50, you think? Yeah, I agree. Oh, and I'm not going to hang around. First right answer, Gordon Jago, Barry Kitchener, 1975. That's absolutely right. I've got another little one for you all later, so stay tuned. Happy birthday, Joe, from John. Jeff with another comment there. Sorry, yeah, it was Jago. Jeff, bit late there. Evening to Rob. Hello, Rob. Mike Donovan, friend of the show. I think that's Paul's brother, isn't it? Evening all. Has any of you put a ban on Jesper attending? Absolutely. As we rightly said there, not the greatest. Oh, and here he is. Speak of the devil. There he is, the man himself, still recovering from Saturday. That was a real punch to the stomach. I bet it was Jesper, but I hope you enjoyed it apart from that. Close, Alex. Fenton and Kitch. You certainly got the Kitch right there. Ben Green. Has anyone checked his stats on play cricket? Who does he mean there? Does he mean you, Stephen, do you think?
Yeah, I've already gone back to him. Don't worry.
Good. Captain manager when Joe was born, Kitchener and Jago. Absolutely right. Right. Yay, Stephen. PS always gives you a yay every week, Steve. So good one. Is I was going to say Joe Langthorne's brother. There's Gary Langthorne. Evening, Gary. Thanks for coming on board. Colin Taylor, good evening. I'm going to keep putting these up, guys, but I'm going to crack on because time is going to run away with us. And I know we've got something exciting coming up in about 5 minutes' time. So, kicking us off, there's a band out at the moment, isn't there, doing the rounds. I said, don't look back in anger, but I think we're going to have to for this one. So, Chris, look, you did a great review of the game on Saturday, and if people haven't watched it, please do so. No, I mean that. But it was good. Chris, give us your take on the first half. Let's have a little look at the first half. What was your sort of overriding thoughts?
Yeah, I thought the first 20, 25 minutes, I thought we were obviously without scoring and maybe creating enough clear-cut chances, but we dominated the game. Felt that they couldn't get the ball off us. Sort of representative of the Norwich game, but in the reverse, right? We were kind of all over them. And I think that continued for the majority of the first half, I think, with a better side. I'm not sure I agree with Alex Neil. We were the better side for beyond that period, but certainly the first half. And to me, I was okay going in at 0-0 because I felt we'd come out of the second halves as we usually do at the Den, guns blazing. But that wasn't meant to be. I think that tactically we didn't get the second half right. But it's difficult because, the Casper De Norre chance goes in and Luke Ayling's not on the line and the whole trajectory of the game changes, right? So, it's a difficult one, Disco, to be honest, because the facts will show we've had one shot on target and we lost the game 3-0 at home. But in reality, it could have been a 1-0. It could have been 1-1. There's so many different outcomes. So I'm trying not to be too downbeat about it. But of course, it is difficult when you lose your first home game 3-0, isn't it? Absolutely.
And Stephen, any sort of any stats you can share with us that are relevant to that first half, do you think?
To be honest with you, Chris is kind of right. I mean, the first half, we were the better team. I think we had 6 chances. Okay, not on target, but apart from the one from Casper, but everything, more corners, more touches in opposition box, more passes, more shots. It's everything you'd want without scoring the goal. I think what Chris said there was right. We sort of did everything but score. I have something else to come back to on that, perhaps later on when we look at the second half. But to be honest with you, you can't really. At the first 20 minutes, we were awesome. We were absolutely awesome. We pressed at the right times. We went together. We hurried them. We were trying to win corners, throw-ins, move the ball quickly. We were just missing that sort of final third, which has been typical of us over a number of seasons. And you kind of thought this year we might have finally found the answer, but unfortunately we couldn't quite get the lead. And then, as you say, we went into halftime at 0-0, not in a bad way. I again agree with Chris. I was fairly happy with it. You expect as the home team to come out and build on that, but unfortunately, I think we were dealt a masterclass by Rob Edwards, and I think tactically he did an absolute number on Alex Neil.
And what about the change of ends? Is there any truth in that we just can't win when we change ends?
I don't know if we can't win, because I think there's a couple. I do recall a couple of times winning at home. Someone might be able to look into that a little bit more. It does, though. The general groan of 16,000 Millwall fan, you just hear like as soon as they switch you around. So it is a little bit of a curse, but you can't just you can't look at things like that. It's still a game of football. Everyone's playing on the same pitch. You've got to just get on with it, I think. And as I say, for 20 minutes we did.
Yeah. And any standouts that first half? Any standout players?
I actually thought again, and I know he's been a bit of someone I've given a bit of stick to, but I thought Billy Mitchell was very, very good. I think Negley looked busy. Again, he's someone I'm going to come back to a bit later. He looked busy, but also struggling with actually staying in a position that we need him to stay in. He's obviously wanting to drift inside, and that I think is going to cause us maybe some issues further down the line. But again, we played nice football and for the start of the half, but we didn't do much with it. So it's hard to call a standout because no one really took the game by the scruff of the neck and got us the lead and got us going. It was all sort of a bit of a team effort without a real star player.
Yeah, spot on. I thought Negley was really putting a shift in that first 20. He looked right up for it. Was really putting himself about. Not necessarily quality, but hard work and effort was definitely there. Chris, shall we carry on, or do you want to carry on for now?
Yeah, let's carry on. But I'll tell you when.
Okay. We can always come in. Yeah. I mean, look, shall we? I'm going to use one of your terms here. Shall we segue into the? I'm learning, Chris. See,
I get the piss taken out of me. For that,
We're going to segue into the second half perfectly. So, if you don't mind, Chris, I'll start with Stephen, and we'll come over to you, Stephen. Do you want to link into the second half? Where did it all go wrong?
Well, it all went wrong when Rob Edwards managed to have a team talk with his side, and I think he slightly changed tactics and slightly changed the setup. First half, they were playing out from the back quite a lot, and quite clearly they weren't very good at it. in my opinion. We kept boxing them in. They didn't really know what they were doing. Second half, I think you noticed the goalkeeper going a bit longer. That was the first one. They were getting the ball up the pitch a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
Obviously, they scored the goal, which again, lots of errors, lots of mistakes. I think we were just managed tactically. We were absolutely managed. Again, it's really difficult because some of the things we're going to go on to talk about is going to look like we're panicking. I come out of the game on Saturday and I thought to myself, you know what, we got taught a lesson. We got taught a lesson at this level that if you don't take your chances and you don't put yourself ahead, whether you're home or away, and the opposition stay in the game, all it takes is one chance and the dynamic of the game changed. I thought Middlesbrough were very, very good at managing the game. I don't think they were worthy 3-0 winners. I don't think we deserve to be on the end of a 3-0 defeat, but they managed us within an inch of our lives. And between Ivanovic, Coburn and Macaulay Langstaff, they had one opportunity. I know Coburn should score, and I'm sure that people will get onto that. But that's where we had a problem. They stopped us playing into our forwards, into our main man, and it showed.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Do you think they got the rub of the green at all on the day as a team as well? I know sometimes you deserve your luck, but did it feel like Borough got the rub of the green and the roll of the ball and 50-50s, etc.?
A little bit. I think the ref was much like most weeks was absolutely atrocious. Happy to blow the whistle every 5 minutes, which it's just ridiculous. But in terms of, I mean, on another day, Casper scores, Coburn scores. I guess you can look at it like that. But in terms of, I think in terms of, it's not a game you'd come away and go, God, how have we not won that one? It wasn't that kind of feel. It was more of a humbled a little bit and back to the drawing board.
Yeah. And any second half, any players come out with any credit? Did you feel?
In a word, not really. to be honest with you, I thought we were pretty. We didn't have any options. We went back to the sideways. Trying to wait for someone to do something, Jaff to Cooper to backwards and forwards into Billy, and we just didn't get going, unfortunately. I think the midfield too, they worked really, really hard between the two of them, chasing the midfield, which again is going to be something that we might have to look at moving forward. But I don't want to go in too hard on the players because I do think it was a little bit of a blip, but we were very much second best in that second half on Saturday.
Yeah, I know I have a different view to a lot of people, but I really do think it was a bad day at the office. Not any player really covered themselves in glory. Billy probably the best of a bad bunch. And look, Borough were better. I'm not quite in this Edwards masterclass as you guys are, but look, maybe I'm just being bitter and twisted, but they were just better than us and it just seemed to click for them. And then they got very confident and ran it away from there. But Chris, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and it's probably a nice segue, this go, because do we have a right to be frustrated to lose to these sorts of sides? Forget the scoreline, but do we have a right to be like that? But I'm going to introduce this new feature that I keep talking about. So this will fail. I just want to be really, really clear. Doing this for the first time on a live show. I've been practicing all day. Mrs. Chaps has got the right hump with me. So let's see if this works. But we're hoping to introduce the ability to do a phone in. So what we're going to do now is try to get a caller on the line who's going to come and give their opinion on this. I'm sure it's going to cock up. So let's see what happens. But
positive thinking, Chris. Come on.
Yeah, let's see if this works. Waiting for Mr. Clark to join us.
Should we have Blondie on now? Hey,
we should have had that elevator music that they in the 70s. We should have had that in the background, waiting for.
Yeah, this is going down. It's going down great already.
Well, hopefully this won't. Oh, is it coming?
No. Carry on, chaps. This is not. Well, that's a good start, isn't it?
talking of music, 1975, 19th of August, 1975. What was number one in the...
Sorry, Disco. Sorry, mate. Sorry.
Oh, go on.
Okay, let's see if this works. Mr. Clark, can you hear us?
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
We are
Hey,
good.
it worked.
We're good. It worked.
Does that make me your first live caller?
It does. You are our first live caller. Welcome to the show, Mr. Clark.
You haven't warned me not to swear.
I haven't, but I know that you have such decorum that would never ever come out of your vocabulary. So,
for fuck's sake, Chris, you know you should have warned me.
Well, that's brilliant because I now can't monetize the show for charity, Phil. So there is one to make you feel bad. But Phil, no, welcome to the show, mate. So obviously this is the very first time we've ever done this, and this is
remarkable. I was listening on this particular day, isn't it? What an incredible shock.
Yeah, and you so happen to have the phone number. But Phil, tell us your take on the game on Saturday.
How long have we got?
A summary.
What do I think? I think, what is it, the third year on the trot that we've all been pent up with super excitement for the home season opener. Obviously, last year it was it the commemoration for Matty, first game of the season? I can't remember now.
Yes,
year before it was a commemoration for John. And similar disappointment, you know, the fans turned up and the players didn't. Well, they did for 15 minutes. I think the occasion kind of got to the players. You know, we started really well. We were on the front foot. We really penned them in. We forced loads of mistakes. Middlesbrough kept making poor decisions in distribution and just decision-making with the ball. You know, it really just felt like a matter of time until we scored. But then the inevitable happens. We don't score and the game drifts away from us. That's a very brief summary.
What is it then, Phil, that you think we lack?
If I'm honest, on Saturday, when you look at the numbers, I just think we lacked experience in the right areas. We've changed the squad a lot, and it's dropped its average age by, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years. But we just lost a lot of experience, and I think when the game drifted away from us, we didn't have those experienced players, or we didn't have experienced players who knew how to shift the momentum of the game and to kind of get into the referee, get into the opposition. It's just so many things. I mean, they took the proverbial out of us on many occasions. Yeah. Even the sub running up and down the touchline in front of the Kitcheners. You know, if there had been a Hurlock in that team, at the end of the game, he'd have had him in a headlock. You know, you probably could have imagined a Savile being in his face when that was, you know. I just feel that we kind of lost a little bit in that kind of way. But equally, you know, I think, you know, when you've got a lot of younger players like that, and you know, you'll have great weeks like Norwich, and then you'll have other weeks like this. That's sort of what you get in that scenario. I think, you know, they look to the management for the sort of some decisions, and to be honest, even Alex Neil got a bit outfoxed. I think, you know, how that happened. You know, he didn't. I think he admitted himself he didn't get the changes right, and we just, it was just disappointing because I don't think, you know, Borough played pretty well once they got to grips with us, but I don't think they were amazing. I mean, it wasn't like we couldn't have got something out of that game.
Just on the point there, Phil, about experience, as you know, that we've been talking during the week, and I said I may borrow your stats that you were kindly providing. I've gone one step further and kind of delved a little bit deeper. We had 3 players in our starting 11 that have played over 100 games at this level. A question for you and the listeners before I go on. Who do you think was our second most experienced player at this level on Saturday in the starting 11? There's a question
probably
for
Billy
the
Mitchell,
there.
I'd say.
That is correct.
Billy
I was
Mitchell.
hoping you was going to take a little bit longer so we could get the listeners to have a guess. But it
doesn't take a lot, does it?
No.
Billy Mitchell, you know.
Exactly. And Middlesbrough, had 7 players that had played over 100 games at this level, with them being considerably higher. You've got 152 appearances, 182, 142, 281. I think the point with experience overall, their starting 11 had combined over 1,300 games. Ours was just over 1,000. And I think that the point you made just there on the call, and something that we spoke about earlier, it's great to be the first 15 minutes, but if you don't take the lead, other teams will work us out and use the nous, use the experience. And I think that's where we perhaps, again, we've had this conversation, and I'm sure you'll agree that whilst I don't think we need to go with all the old guard, perhaps, but I think it's a little bit, there needs to be a little bit of mid ground rather than just go from complete experience to very little.
Yeah, look, I totally agree. And this is not about, we shouldn't have let Savile or Honeyman go. That's not really the debate. The debate is it's who we're bringing in to replace them. And, Luongo's come in and he looks a good player. He's going to take a few weeks to get up to full match fitness. But I don't think he's come in as a starter. He's come in as a player who's going to come on at 70 minutes to tighten a game up or lock a game down. He's not come on to win us a game. And it's about having people who are starters that have got, 200, 230 games to their credit, and they know the league inside out and they know how to manage games. When you lose someone like Savile, who's got almost 400 championship games, you can't replace him with for example, a Dan Kelly who hasn't got any, because there's a bigger role than just being a player on the pitch that those kind of players deliver. It was interesting because when I looked at the numbers, I didn't even realise that, the keeper, Bender, actually has less championship games than Jensen. And Jensen's only ever had one season in the championship. You sort of suddenly start to realise that we have gone very light on experience. And with that is going to come swings in performances. And that's sort of what we've seen over the last 2 games, I guess.
I also would go as to say as well, when you talk about experience, is that, again, if you take our front 2, so Coburn, 68 appearances, a lot of those would have been off the bench, perhaps. Middlesbrough, those numbers would have been boosted. Ivanovic, 39. The 3 Borough centre-backs, okay, admittedly, one of them was only making his 2nd game, but between them had nearly 400 appearances. So again, when we talk about perhaps strikers, that Ivanovic and Coburn, both of them I've seen get stick for not really being involved in the game, and Coburn missing the chance, but they're up against seasoned centre backs at this level that aren't just going to roll over for them. They are going to get in their faces. They are going to use that experience. And I think we don't have even Macaulay Langstaff. Look, he scored at Norwich. It was great for him, but he still doesn't have the experience to perhaps combat again this level. I don't, again, for the listeners and for Chris, Steve, and yourself, Phil, it's not a panic station, but it's hard to look past some of these things when it's clear that we've gone from one direction to another, and it's clear that some weeks it is going to fail us.
I think sorry, I just wanted to say, I think as well, this is maybe where, in terms of the transfer business we've done good business, but it's not enough. And, I did a show at the start of the season with the Viking, Mr. Jesper. We did a show where we talked about what we need. We talked about the fact we need to replace the leadership that starts. So to me, that's not Luongo. We talked about the fact we need a potential right back. We talked about the fact we need probably more pace up top. We haven't brought any of those things in. So actually...
Well, that's the other thing, Chris. When you look at the team the team for the last 2 league games, there's only been 2 new players in that group from last season. I'm not referring to people who haven't come back or signed permanently after being on loan, but in terms of players who joined in the summer that we hadn't previously had with the club, there's only 2 that were in that team. One of them was the keeper, who we wouldn't have needed if there wasn't an injury, and the other was Doughty, who's now injured anyway. But so really, there was one kind of new player in the starting 11. That's you can't help sort of looking at that and thinking there's a lot of faith being put in the group from last season that didn't quite have enough to get over the line.
In a arguably more challenging league. Well, I'd say I don't know anyone that wouldn't agree with that. To be totally honest, it's this
Yeah.
the amount of money being flown around.
Can I just
Yeah,
add in?
look, we
though,
may get more players in before the end of the window. But my point to that is that August has got, how many league games are there in August? 4, 5, that's sort of 12, 15 points on offer. You don't really want to be getting all your players in the last 2 days of August and saying goodbye to 9 or 10 points. It just, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Also on that, just before you come in, Steve, the bigger thing is as well, if players come in and they're not ready for Wrexham, their first game is going to be a London derby. Now, I know we all have our feelings on Charlton, and perhaps we go there with confidence because of our record, but you're throwing in, not only are you throwing them in or you've lost perhaps a few games, you're throwing them into a position where their first game is a massive game for the supporters. It's a massive game for our record, something that we're proud of. So it's again another league game that there's immense pressure on them.
Yeah, I've just got one last point I was going to make, because I've only called in to kind of help with the testing, etc. But it seems to have worked really well, and it's been a pleasure to be on. One thing I've noticed, which I don't know if anyone else picked up on, it certainly was evident in Angelo's analysis video. There was a ball that Billy Mitchell played to Femi Aziz up the line, which led to one of the goals. Forgetting the quality of the ball per se, one thing I've noticed with a lot of our players, that they didn't seem to cope very well with the pace of the pitch, and by that I mean the grass. There was so many passes. Negley did 3 or 4 where they just weren't hit crisply enough, firmly enough. They just took too long to get to the player. And that ball that Billy played, it was just under hit. It kind of wasn't quite in the right place, but if it had been hit with more pace, it would have probably got down the line, which is where Femi was trying to run onto. And I don't know whether the pitch wasn't watered, whether the grass was a bit longer. I don't know. Just when I've watched bits back, it just felt like we were just under-hitting pretty much all of our passes.
Yeah, it's a good observation, Phil. I hadn't noticed that. It's definitely something for us to look at. I don't know if the club have changed anything over the summer, so something for us to certainly look at.
Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I just picked something up that doesn't really exist, but it's just number of passes that were under hit just seemed unusual.
Similar to that, Phil, I don't know if you can hear me, but similar to that, I would say Borough certainly did pass it around really crisply. So, yeah, I think there's something in what you're saying there. It was really a lot better quality and at pace, which cut us open. I just wanted to quickly, before you go, Phil, this point, Danny Chappell saying, look, you guys, us, we're never happy. We're going on about the lowering the age of the squad. And now we're saying we're too inexperienced. And look, it's a fair challenge, but I think we're all saying, Danny, should there be a better balance? And if you think back, I think Alex Neil has said that, hasn't he? He's very much behind this new model, but he's always said you need a sprinkling of experience in there. The one thing I wanted to add in was you're absolutely right about the inexperience on the field, and I'm sure that's going to result in great performances and poor performances. But add that to Saturday, I maintain not one player played to their normal levels. And that has a huge part to play in it as well. If you normally get 1 or 2 shine, we didn't even get that. Kramer wasn't at the races in terms of the standards he's setting now. And that's not a criticism. It's just they had off day. Doherty wasn't my beloved Doherty, in the first 60, 70 minutes, So I think we were well off form for whatever reason, as well.
Yeah, and I get Danny's point that people aren't happy, but this is a show that's being put on after we just got whopped 3-0 at home, first game of the season. So I think inevitably people aren't going to be as cheerful as they were the week before when we kind of got the result at Norwich. That's just an inevitability. And I mean, to be honest, you should. I can't ever be happy losing 3-0 at home to anybody at any stage of the season, to be honest with you, because that's in this day and age when games are generally so tight and kind of decided by the odd goal, to get whooped 3-0 feels like probably what 5-0 used to feel like 20 years ago. Do you know what I mean? It feels like a proper drubbing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. It does. Well, Phil, thank you very much for coming on, mate. Much appreciated. I'm glad it worked. This is good. So thanks for coming on,
Cheers,
mate.
guys.
And we'll have you on soon. Thanks a lot, Phil. Enjoy your evening.
Phil.
Bye, guys.
Cheers, Phil.
Okay. Yes. I mean, what I would say is we're going to do one more test in a moment. Mr. Ben Green is going to join us from sunny Spain, I believe. So we're going international with these calls, right? But we did actually tell him earlier. I think it was Disco. You joked it with the number that we've given him was a Babe Station number, and he racked up a nice bill. But yeah. Guys, if you think this is a good thing for us to add into the lives, 1 or 2 calls a week, let us know. If you're keen to get involved and actually join, to actually be a voice as well, let us know. If you think it should be a separate show and we should have like a phone-in show on a Saturday or a Sunday, let us know, right? We're open to doing anything. We only do this because you listen. So, just give us those thoughts. I'm going to tee Mr. Green up. Disco, I'll hand back to you.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that. So look, I think it'd be worth just having a quick look at some of these comments while we're waiting there. So sorry, actually, no, I missed one there. Sorry, Baz. Things never change. Had all some to bring in the right players, and we haven't done that. Thoughts on that, Stephen?
I said the other day, again, it's really difficult because after Norwich, you'd go, oh, it's absolutely fine, not a problem. We've won there for the first time. You then look at Saturday and you go, well, the recruitment, and again, to touch on something I'd looked into, as Phil said, we're banking on the same group of players really from last year. The goalkeeper position, we've had to sign 2 goalkeepers, so 2 of our transfer businesses is there, which is enforced. Obviously, Zach Sturge and Josh Coburn were with the club last year, so okay, they're permanent now, but they're not new signings. And we've only really Doherty, who's obviously now injured. There's rumours it's 3 months. I don't know if it's if that's true, but we haven't really improved, in my opinion, the first team. That's not to say that our first team is poor, because I think if you put them out and they're all fit, I think we have a very, very good first team, but we haven't addressed areas, as Chris said, pace up front. An out and out right back, and I think there's certain teams that are going to exploit that, and that's all that Middlesbrough did. And I'm sure that with Chris's thumbs up, I think we may have Mr. Green.
I was I was just agreeing with some of your points, to be honest, mate. I think Febs, if you're still listening to us, mate, ping us in the chat. But I believe that Sinclair Armstrong is available and could be an interesting one. He tore us apart, didn't he, last season? We are going to go to the next caller and the final caller for tonight. So going to welcome to the show Mr. Ben Green. Ben, can you hear us?
Loud and clear, fellas. How are we doing?
Hey.
Here he is.
Very good, mate. How are you?
Fresh off the YMCA.
I'm not quite yet. The Macarena's coming up. I'm limbering up. Just got out of the pool. I'm all good. Thank you.
Ben, talk to us. What do you want to share?
I think for me, fellas, a little bit more. I don't want to say balance, because no one's wrong, right, in their opinion. It was a bad day at the office, and I'm just going to put it down to that, right? Because I think Danny was the chap that messaged in and just said, we've called for lowering the age in the squad. We've done that. I think if you look at it too deeply, which I'm trying not to do, and I know that's kind of our job on the show, right, which it is to do that. But if you just look at it at a surface level, if Casper's chance goes in 1-0, it's a completely different game. If Coburn's header doesn't hit both posts, how's your luck? It's a completely different game. At 1-0, Alex Neil come out and said he's tried to change it and go and chase the game. I just think it was a bad day at the office. Let's put a line under it and move on to the next one. If we keep seeing a reoccurring theme here where we're getting stuff 3-0 every week, then we might have a little bit more to talk about. But from my memory, since Alex Neil's come in, and apologies for it, it's really windy. I'm in Lanzarote, so it's very windy. In my memory, Alex Neil hasn't got it wrong too many times. Unless this becomes, as I say, a reoccurrence and we do start getting beat quite easily, we do look quite soft, we're not really taking our chances, that sort of thing. As I said, I can't remember too many times since you've been in charge where that happens. So for me, a little bit of balance, a little bit of stepping back and going, bad day at the office, draw a line under it and on to the next one. What do you fellas think to that?
I mean, you're Mr. HMS Pistol League, 100 points. So I do expect a lot of optimism from you. And to be fair, mate, you're right. At the end of the day, the game, and I said this before, the game could have gone in a completely different trajectory. I think that you can't ignore the fact of 3-0, one shot on target, blah, blah, blah. But I get the point. I think Sheffield United presents a really interesting opportunity for us. They're significantly under pressure. We've got a fairly good track record against them. What do you change for that, Ben, for us to try and go and get a result there?
Well, this is my point, chaps. I don't think I'm changing too much. I don't think Alex Neil. I think you say it all the time in your shows, don't you? Don't get too high when we win. Don't get too low when we lose. I certainly don't see Alex Neil as a massively overreacting type of character. I don't see us making 5 changes. I just think he will have said to the players, as we've just spoke about, things could have gone differently Saturday. It hasn't gone the way we wanted to, obviously. The result on paper is a bad one, but I just don't think we're going to change too much. I think we're going to go there. The game plan will be similar to what it was at Norwich. We'll try and soak up pressure early. We'll come into the game. We couldn't be playing them at a worse time because the Bristol City result was a bit of an anomaly. They absolutely battered them. And Bristol City basically had 4 shots on target and scored 4 times.
Don't let Febsy say that.
I don't know what the Swansea game was like, but having listened to Paul Merson, who did the Borough Swansea game the week before, he said they were 2 poor sides. Listen, as I say, I just don't think Alex Neil's going to change too much, and I don't think we should until we start to get a bigger sample size almost. If we get 5 games in and we get beat 3-0 by Sheffield United, we look soft again. We play Wrexham at home, we get beat, or we don't look good and it's 0-0 or something, and then we start to say, yeah, okay, we might need to tweak it. But in my opinion, I don't think we change too much. We'll approach it in the same way that we did Norwich.
Ben, just on that point then, question for you and also for the listeners, because I'd love to get everyone's perspective on this. Do you think there could be an argument for different systems for different for home and away in different games? So, for example, 4-4-2, this might sound stupid, but that might work away from home because of the way that the press operates with the 4-4-2 and the just the way that kind of setup is in the front 4. However, when we're playing at home and teams sit in a little bit more and we've got to try and break them down, is there an argument to have a player that arguably we don't actually have yet, unless you believe Kundal or RBW can play the role, which may be, which is to have another midfielder that kind of plays off the striker that gives us that attacking input? I don't know. I've seen a few comments and I tend to agree, but Ben, what's your comment on that?
Well, to the latter part of that question, Chris, the RBW one and certainly Kundal one's the really interesting piece here because Alex Neil either clearly doesn't fancy him, or there's something we don't know about behind the scenes, and I'm not speculating there. But when we signed him, I was very vocal about Kundal, and I thought he was the player we were crying out for in that 10. And this go, he was excellent at Leeds away in the FA Cup. But outside of that, I can't really remember too many other games where he's been excellent or had a really good game. For certainly over for a stretch of games anyway. So that's an interesting one. Again, I don't really need to talk about RBW in terms of my opinion of him and how highly I do rate him. I would like to see him in that 10. I think that's going to be his position for us long term. But again, he's obviously not, for whatever reason, starting at the moment. So you possibly look to get him in. But yeah, and to the former part of the question, Chris, I think you've always got to be adaptable, right? I think you've always got to be looking at who you're playing. There's always the element of don't change too much. You want to have your own style and sort of impart it on the opposition rather than the other way around. But I think we've always got to have an option to change. Yeah. And I think certainly when you're playing home and away, the emphasis is always going to be there for the home side to take it to the away team. So Alex Neil will have ideas in how we do that, but the personnel, Bill mentioned it, you've mentioned it, we certainly look like we need to strengthen because there's a couple of players that we've got, as I say, Kundal being one, that does Alex Neil know where his best position is? Does he fancy him? There's question marks there with Kundal at the minute.
I think, Ben, and Chris, to touch on what you said there, we've recruited for a number 10, but we don't play with one because Kundal's a 10. Negley, in my opinion, is a 10. Bangura Williams is a 10, and all of them are being certainly being asked to perhaps play wide right. Kundal certainly was playing out wide last year. Negley has started both games wide, and again something to come to that by playing 4-4-2 and by playing someone that's not a winger that wants to play centrally, that leaves whoever's playing at right back, Tristan Crammer, potentially doubled up on. And Negley, I think, Steve, you said Negley worked incredibly hard in the first half,
100%.
but he had to work hard because he was consistently in the middle of the pitch and having to chase back, not only just sort of back out wide, but deeper to help Crammer. So I actually thought on Saturday we probably should have gone to the 3 in midfield and have a number 10. Go with 2 wingers, have a number 10 and try and change how we approach the game, because Borough worked out what we were trying to do, get crosses into the box, and they stopped it. The only one that got across was Coburn's chance. But I think what you guys have kind of said it there to try and summarize. We have recruited really, really well for a number 10, but we don't play with it. So what do you do? Do you change systems? Do you have flexibility, or do you start looking in the market for a winger? I don't know what the best option is right now.
I think
there's a piece there, Stephen, as well, about if we're going to continue with the 2 up top, we've only really got 3 strikers. So we definitely need another striker. If we're going to continue to play 2 up top, we need another one, because you can't ask a kid, effectively in Ivanovic, to play every game, every minute of every game for the whole season. Coburn, we know, looks like he could be suspect, get my words out, to injury. So he might be out for a period. Then you've got Langstaff, who obviously didn't really get a lot of game time last year, lacks experience at this level. So if we're going to play 2 up top for the whole season, we definitely need another centre forward.
And someone put it in the chat, and I couldn't agree more with this, is that I still, and I know Langstaff came on and scored the winner against Norwich, all right? So maybe I'm chatting crap here, but I still don't think we've got enough game changers off the bench. You know, Middlesbrough brought on Janssen. He was phenomenal in that second half. He was the difference. And again, he's not a striker. He was playing as a 10. So that's where the game was won and lost in that second half. And now I'll allow Disco to speak.
Sorry, I'm just going through comments. I didn't put that up as a reminder. I'm worried about Ben shriveling up there in his Speedos if he's just come out.
Any final
right,
thought, Ben?
No, fellas. As I say, for me, I'm still very much glass half full. It was a very good performance at Norwich. I think we were all on such a buzz. I think there's just been a big drop off. Like you said, Chris, 100 points, 100 goals, going unbeaten to a 3-0 defeat. But on the face of it, I know Phil said no defeat, and certainly no 3-0 defeat at home is a good one. But it wasn't that bad a performance. It's buts and maybes, I know. But if Casper's goal goes in, if Coburn doesn't hit both posts, it's a completely different game. It's a completely different game. So for me, I'm still positive. I still think we can go and get a result against Sheffield United. We are their bogey team. Cooper is their bogey player, so I'm expecting Coops to score a hat-trick on Saturday, and everyone will be buzzing again. So, yeah, that's my final thoughts.
Love that, Ben. Thanks very much, mate. Well, thanks for joining us tonight, and enjoy the rest of your holiday.
Enjoy your holiday.
Enjoy.
See you, mate.
Brilliant.
Right,
hey, no,
Ben.
Yeah, listen, brilliant, Chris, isn't it? That's worked really well. And I think the feedback from the comment is definitely do some phone-ins. Depends where it fits in the show or on its own show or part of the show. And I think, like you said, guys, we are saying we would really welcome you to get involved in phoning in, not, people we select. So let Chris know if you're keen to participate, because it's probably not easy to get your points across and what have you, especially when you stood in your Speedos soaking wet, but Ben did it admirably. I think on Ben's point there, and your point, Stephen, is, look, the reality is we've sort of we almost stumbled on the 2 up top, didn't we? He took a punt, Alex Neil, with it, and it worked. The back end of last year, it worked. It worked at Norwich. It didn't work Saturday, and now we're all a bit panicky. Oh, is it right or not? And I think generally for me, comments that are coming in is we need to chop and change. We need to have the ability to flex both game to game and in games. And I think somebody put in here, really surprised Alex didn't switch it up. I think here from Mark, with his tactical mind, he didn't change it up. We just went like for like in a way, didn't we? Do you think we could have been a bit more creative there?
Can I just say, I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit here, and maybe Chris, I'll come to you on it. Saying that the 4-4-2 worked, and back end of last season it clearly did, because Ivanovic was scoring goals. He had a perfect partner in Josh Coburn. At Norwich, I don't think between Ivanovic and Coburn either of them really had a sniff at goal. I think Ivanovic had the one where he cut it back to Aziz, and Aziz obviously smashed it over the bar. And on Saturday, again, Coburn had the chance in the second half. Are we, with the 4-4-2, you have to have proper wingers to play that formation, in my opinion. You have to have real out-and-out wingers to put balls into the box. And okay, we might have recruited Doughty to play further forward. I know he's injured, etc. But are we playing to the strengths of Ivanovic and Cope? Have we played to their two strengths in the two games that we've played, in your opinion, Chris?
More so in the Norwich game. But
second half.
Yeah, second half.
Yeah,
but overall,
yeah.
no. I agree with that, because what did Mihailo do on Saturday? And by the way, that's not criticising him. He wasn't in the game. Now, you can say, well, that's down to Mihailo. You can say we didn't get him in the game. It doesn't matter. The outcome is the same. So I agree with you. I trust Alex Neil, and I trust his tactical nous. I think every single player talks about it, right? But in my opinion, he got the second half wrong, because he did not spot the fact that we needed to change the system. And like you said, he just put Leonard on for Crammer and Langstaff on for Coburn and went 4-4-2 again, which to me, that wasn't what it needed.
100%. And that's what I'm saying about the recruitment, that we've it's a bit like under previous managers, we recruited, we didn't have wing backs, we had full backs, but then they were asked by them to play wing back roles, which they're clearly not comfortable in doing. Now we're recruiting players to be the attacking outlets, to create chances, and we're asking them to play out wide. But again, okay, Aziz aside, because Aziz is obviously a winger, but the other side, all the options that are going to play on the right, none of them are wingers. So it's just we still got this. We're still trying to find. Negley obviously was a record transfer, so they're looking to get him in the team, and I can understand that. But is it to the detriment of the 4-4-2 by saying that Camille Negley has to play and he has to be coming in on that right hand side?
Yeah, I think going back to that in the 4-4-2, your good question, Stephen. Does it really work? From a results point of view, it's worked. From a creating chances, etc. No, you can't say we look particularly dynamic, etc. And let's be honest, you look at all the fan chat after the games, everybody's loving it. I'm like 4-4-2. We told you it's what we needed, and it's working. So, and I'm not saying Alex Neil's naive enough to just do it for the fans, but I think we've all got sucked into that. It will have its place, and it does have its place, and I think he'll start it again Saturday personally, but we need to be flexible. And I think if you think the good thing with the squad is we've got the ability to be flexible, but we've just got to try that, is the thing.
Disco, do you think, and again, Stephen, listeners, do you think there's an element of, I don't want to call it complacency. Let me explain what I mean, and maybe there's a better word for it. But we came very close at the end of last season, right? We haven't really recruited that many new players. You could argue that maybe over the period of 2 years we have, but in this window we haven't, right? Then we have a superb pre-season where everything we do seems to go right, including the final game against Estoril where we looked like world beaters. We then go to Norwich and break our hoodoo. We then kick off the game against Borough, a side that got battered on Tuesday. The first 20 minutes, we absolutely boss it. Do you think there's maybe a little bit an element of where everyone's believing the hype, including the players, and there could just be that mentality thing that actually this was the kick up the arse that we needed? Do you think there's that? Because they're all humans at the end of the day, right? I know they're professional sports people, but they are still humans.
100%, Chris. I think I said in our chat earlier this week or yesterday exactly that maybe we've just got a little bit sucked in. Well, we have, haven't we? And I don't apologise for that because it's a great time to be a Millwall fan. But the players' point of view, yes, I think there could be an element of that. And 20 minutes into that game, there was only one winner. We were all over them. We were really looked sharp and at it without creating a lot. That's the balance. But they couldn't get out their bloody half, So I do think there was a little bit of complaint. Look, let me go back to players not playing well. I do not want to dig anybody out because nobody really covered themselves in glory. When have you seen Jaff 3, if not 4 times miscontrol the ball? And I mean miscontrol it terribly. Give it away to a striker. Going out the back. Now, it just seemed to impregnate itself into the team that we just got on a downer and they went on a high and that's what happened. So I think your point, Chris, yes. I don't know, Stephen, if you think the same.
Yeah, Chris, I was going to say, just to touch on it, because there's some comments coming in about that one in particular from Chris about one bad game. There's a couple talking about the expectation. I'm not saying and suggesting that we make wholesale changes, and I'm not suggesting that the squad is not good enough and we need 10 players, etc. But there are going to be times where you're going to look at this squad and you're going to look at the options that we've got, and we're going to score 3 goals in a 20-minute spell like we had on Saturday, and we'll be 3-0 up and we'll go on to win the game. But it's when that doesn't work, it's looking at what are we going to do if game plan 1 doesn't work? What's game plan 2? What's the change up? And that's where we're coming from. I think 100%, Chris, and I'm the same. We beat Norwich. I'm telling everyone at work, telling everyone that listen, we're now done. We're on this. We're getting in the top 6. I think, I hammered you for your prediction, and I'm going to throw you under the bus again after your shocking 7th place prediction, Mr. Chapman. But we literally caught up in the hype. The players, was at the ground on Saturday. The players all turned up happy, smiley, all buzzing. It genuinely felt like the players were turning up and we're going to win today. We're going to win. And then they didn't score, and it was a bit like, what now? Like we haven't scored. We're not ahead. We're not doing what everyone expected us to. And the fans were the same. I heard so many fans coming out of the ground going, "Oh, same old Millwall. They give you this, they give you that, they give you all the talk, all the hype, and then they kind of let you down." And they let themselves down on Saturday. I think that's the big thing. And there will be a reaction, I believe, on Saturday. And it isn't time for wholesale changes or anything, but I think the hype perhaps has just gradually come down a little bit, and I think that's a good thing.
It links in with the experience question. Have we got enough leaders on the pitch? And I link that Phil's point there. That really pissed me off, Hackney doing what he did for the first goal. Really pissed me off. And I wasn't at the game, so being there would have infuriated me even more. Didn't see the guy running down the wing, and obviously he got booked, and that shouldn't be happening, should it? And I'm not saying go and get a red card, but we should be fronting that up, and that's a bit of leadership for me. So do you feel that's what we lack a bit, which links to experience, I guess?
Chris, do you want to go in?
Yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah, I really do. And this isn't about we should have kept Sav or whatever, because that ship sailed. By the way, he's just scored for Luton, so Mr. Sav. But I still fundamentally believe we need leadership. I said it in the summer, and I still do. I understand why we wouldn't want to go after someone like Lewis Travers, because the overall cost of bringing in a 27-year-old is probably very expensive and doesn't fit the model, and I understand that. But someone like him, who's still got a few years ahead of him, is a captain waiting there, knows the Championship. We just don't have that. And there's Cooper, I'm sure, is an interesting debate because I've seen tons of stuff around Cooper. But one thing that no one can argue with is he's not a in-your-face captain. The amount of times things happen on that pitch, and he's the biggest bloke of a lot of them. He should be going up there and having it, right? And he doesn't. And that's one thing that personally frustrates me. But, gents, I've got to drop off. But 2 quick things before I go. So first one is, I don't know if he's listening, but Merv Payne, thank you very much, mate. Sent me a copy of the new book, 1985, the highs and lows of Millwall's 100th year. Haven't read it yet. I'm going on holiday next week, so I'll give that a read. So thank you, Merv. So get yourself a copy. And the second thing is, I think the boys are going to plug it a bit better later on. But Ben from the show joined us a minute ago on the phone in. Has got a new channel, obviously alongside his work that he does with us, all around Football Manager. So I'm sure the boys will talk a little bit more about that later. So, chaps, thanks for having me on. Listeners, thanks so much. Give us some thoughts on the phone in. Would you like to join? If we did like a Sunday morning phone in show where you could literally get all your emotions out or whatever after sleeping on it, let us know. Let us know what you think. We're always here to try and provide the best content we can.
You'll not be hungover though, Chris, will you? Sunday morning, you'll be all right.
Never, mate. Never happens to me.
Good man.
All right, lads. Enjoy the rest of the show.
See you later, Chris.
Top man. Thanks, Chris. Thanks very much. Cheers, mate. Have a good night.
Steve, just to come in because it's topical now on the back of what Chris was saying about Jake Cooper. Jake has copped a lot of stick, and there's a lot of comments about Mr. Cooper in the chat, and I as much as I hate to say it, but I think we are looking at maybe the beginning of the end of Jake Cooper. I think this might be his last season. You're looking at, he is the experience. He's, over 300, I've got it on here. It's over 300 games in the Championship for Millwall. He's got the armband. He's played with Hutch. His apprenticeship, if you will, of playing with what it took to be Millwall captain. And unfortunately, Jake Cooper's I think he's been getting a little bit found out, and it's really difficult because I don't think the club are going to replace him this season. We're not looking for a left-footed centre back. I think that's a mistake. I don't know what you think, Steve. And unfortunately, someone who's been a great servant to the club, he's going to go down. I think he's already in one of maybe the top 15, maybe even the top 10 appearances of all time for the club. I just hope it doesn't turn a bit sour for him, and he can either regain the form or perhaps is gently phased out if we can find a replacement. But I don't think that's going to happen personally.
Look, I'm really glad you brought it up because you're right. It is a topic of conversation, and he splits opinion, Coops, and I think it's getting more negative towards him than positive. I will throw in there. I've thought for a long while now. He and I've said it on here several times. He is like a bloody oil tanker turning, isn't he? He's so slow and cumbersome, and looks so obvious, that's the problem with him as well. He doesn't seem to be nimble, but he hasn't been for a long time, if ever. Look, he's very obvious with free kicks, giving them away when we attack for corners. He always gets blown up against, sometimes unfairly, but he's too obvious instead of playing to his strengths. But I really want to throw in here. I think you're right, Steve, and I think we are. If you talk about somebody's career path, he's up and up and up and up and up, and on the graph he's peaked, and he he is on the way down now. However, I urge you all, watch back the game from Saturday and watch a lot of the attacks that Borough had, apart from the goals, obviously. And I know that people will say he was at fault for a couple. I'm not sure he was, but that we can debate. Have a look at other the man in there getting the blocks in, the man heading it out, the man, pushing players out the way. It's Cooper. Defensively, he still has a very, very good role to play. And I think if you asked Alex and the coaching staff, they'd say, I'll tell you what, he's one of our best defenders. It's the other part of his game and the problem is as we're developing as a team and a club, he's probably being left behind a little bit, but please don't underestimate his quality as a defender. He does have a role to play in my mind anyway.
Do you think as well that we've obviously, Jaff next to him? I mean, I don't know enough about perhaps, I don't watch, Jaff specifically in a game. If he's involved in the action and you're watching, but he doesn't seem the type to be very vocal either. The two of them are kind of very, very similar in that regard. They've got a new goalkeeper behind them, which doesn't doesn't help either. Which again, I'm sure the listeners will have their opinions on Stephen Bender, but it just I don't. Someone said that we haven't got the Morrisons or Slavs anymore to be that real leader, that real, the bit of nastiness that you sometimes need. That little, when sort of Steve Morrison used to go down the corner flag when we were 1-0 up and hold the ball in the corner. We don't have the nasty side of the game in the team anymore, and that's what makes
Stephen. Sorry, mate. It's not just nastiness. The perfect example was Ayling on Saturday, wasn't it? He had that ref in his back pocket.
Yeah,
he
the
was
nous.
chirping.
Yeah.
The nous, exactly. Knowing when to go down, look like I've just been killed and he'd hardly been touched. Getting people booked in the ref's ear. He knew slowing the game down when it needed it first half. It's that now. It's experience again. I must say, I'm hearing more towards that we do need a little bit more experience in the team. Or I don't think we've necessarily not. Well, we haven't got. What we've got to get those guys to raise their game from that point of view, and take ownership.
Yeah.
Somebody like Billy could start to say, "No, I'm going to own this." Because I tell you, he put a shift in Saturday. Billy, again, watch the highlights. He puts a shift in, that boy. I tell you, 100%.
I think Billy Mitchell, he's been our best player over the 2 games combined. For me, I know in the first game, Tristan Crammer and Alfie Doughty were very, very good. Maybe he is the one, but to take on that kind of, the dark arts, if you will. That's the other thing we're probably missing at the moment. But and again, that comes with experience, and maybe Mitchell needs to take that role on moving forward. But going back to Cooper, I do think that a lot is made of Jake. Lots of people rate him highly. Other teams rate him highly. He's the first name that people look for corners and free kicks, but he seems to have lost that ability again of scoring goals. I think he got a couple last year, but he just seems to me that he's the, I don't want to say weak link because it's really, really harsh, but he's the obvious one that Alex Neil has been upgrading in this position. He's been upgrading here. He just seems to be one of the last remaining remnants of the Gary Rowett, the Neil Harris era. He just seems to be the last one standing, if you will. All his mates have gone around him and been replaced. I know you could argue Billy Mitchell and Ryan Leonard are still there.
No, you're right. You're right.
He's the last man standing of the old guard, if you will.
And as I was saying, he stands out, doesn't he? 1, because of his stature, and 2, because he is so cumbersome and a bit slow and lethargic in his approach. So he stands out. Look, the defence looked bloody shaky, didn't they? In both games, when teams have come at us, we've looked a little bit shaky. And again, is it new keeper? We'll come on to him. New keeper. With the 2 centre halves, Kramer at right back and obviously Doughty left. He's a new back 4, back 5, really. But look, jury's out. I'm not saying Cooper is undroppable, and I think it would be really bold for Alex to make that change. It will come, but don't underestimate. He's still a very good defender. I will stand by that, and I urge you to watch back. Look, link in with that. What about the keeper? Seems like we're getting a few people saying the keeper's not the right man. What do you think?
I think it's really difficult. I have an issue. The issue with the goalkeeper is that we've loaned somebody from the Premier League, and there will be not assurances, but he is not going to accept not playing. Why would he would, he's going to want game time. He's not playing. He's sat on the bench in the Premier League. He's not going to drop to the Championship to sit on the bench. So I think that he's kind of like, he is the number one, whether or not people like it or not. He is going to play unless something like another calamitous, Norwich-esque event happens. I can't see Crocombe getting in the league personally. I think he's been hard done by with the first 2 goals on Saturday. I don't think he can do anything about the first. The guy it rolls across. The guy hits it in the bottom corner. I don't think anyone can do anything with that. The second goal is really shocking defending. The ball bouncing around in the box. Jaff gets done. I think Cooper gets spun, and the guy just whacks it from all of 6 yards again. Last goal, perhaps, I think he could perhaps look at himself, but we were all over the place. That it was an absolute shambles of a finish to the game.
Do you think so, though, Stephen? Having watched that back, it's the ball over the top. He hits it into the ground. He comes out and makes himself big, and it goes through his bloody legs. It's another day that hits his knee and it goes out, and everybody says, "Oh, what a great save!" I'm not quite in this camp. I'm not saying he feels me like fucking hell. I remember Bart coming for us, and I just, from day one, you watched him and thought, this guy's fucking mustard. And we have failed to sort of live up to him since. Hope Jensen will get there eventually. And look, Mattia was getting there, in fairness. But I don't think this guy's as bad as some are saying. I understand why they're digging him out a bit, but I'm not sure he's culpable for these goals, just other than the kick at bloody Norwich, obviously.
No, I think though that we're in a position though where we've had to change goalkeepers for the last 3 seasons. Obviously, we had Bart leaving and Matty coming in. Obviously, unfortunately, Matty's no longer with us, and Jensen replacing him, and now Jensen's injured, and we've had to go and get another one. It's one of the key areas in the team, and I think opposition managers will look at us, and that will be an area that they target. I think they will look at him. He's very inexperienced for a goalkeeper. I did look it up. He's played, I think, less than 40 games in the Championship. So again, compared to others, he's probably going to be towards the end of the scale in terms of how much game time he's had at this level. There's a comment saying about Crocombe being, for me, he's ours and looks solid. I think for someone as well, again, he wants to make the New Zealand World Cup squad next year.
Yes.
I think he's been called up for the next internationals. He's going to want to play, and I think he'll be. No one wants their goalkeeping rivals to perhaps make a mistake so they get the opportunity to go in goal. But he's probably looking at it going, "There's heaps of pressure on Bender, and he's is he able to cope with it? Will I get my opportunity? Will I be able to go to the manager and say I want to play because I want to get in the New Zealand team?" So I think you have to persist with Bender for a while. You can't just chop and change that position. But the expectation on him, fans, myself included, will expect him to start. I think he did it at Norwich. There was a very good close range save after the mistake, which was very, very good. But we need to see him start making big saves to win us points, to start getting the fans on board. And I know that's big pressure, but unfortunately, you make a mistake as a goalkeeper, there's only one result, and it's a goal conceded.
I see there, Gary. Sorry, Gary, it's Langthorne, not Longthorne. I was saying earlier, I thought it was Joe Longthorne's brother, but Langthorne. I agree. He did make a very good save. Again, at 1-0, didn't mean anything in the end. So I'm not in this camp that he's a total. Somebody said he's shite. Get to the straight to the point. I think another Gary. But look, I think, like you say, Stephen, I think Alex has made his mind up. He's my number one for now. And you don't chop and change after 2 or 3 games, do you? You've got to give the guy a run and get some sort of stability. But look, Mrs. Slocum, Crocombe can feel very hard done by. I don't think he's done anything wrong either. But you have to have a number 1 and a number 2, like the old days of Clements and Shilton back in the day for England. You have to. It's a bold manager who makes that choice. So look, we're. I'm just conscious of the time, so I know there's so much to talk about, and want to try and be as positive as we can. But is there anything else on the Borough game before we just have a quick catch up on Doughty's situation? I know we'd mentioned it, but
not particularly. My final thoughts. Look, we've done an hour and 13 minutes. We've basically been talking about Borough, saying this is wrong, that don't work. Blah, blah, blah. I genuinely think it was a bad day at the office. It's our first home game. It's the expectation levels were high from all of us, and the players they let themselves down. That's the thing. It's not time to panic. We're not ripping up the team sheet and saying we need to make wholesale changes for Saturday. I am relatively positive that we will go to Sheffield United and try to rectify the loss, the Middlesbrough loss. It's just, I think it's really disappointing to go down in the manner that we did, and it's really hard to stay upbeat. And we do try. I am trying to be a bit more half glass full rather than half empty, but I do think that it's not a case to panic yet. No, pressing the alarm buttons, the big red button. It's not, we don't need a big reset. It just needs a little bit of quality additions, and maybe we'll start again on Saturday, and we just go again and start afresh.
Look, we need to take a leaf out of Borough's books. This time last week, they got hammered, didn't they, by Doncaster? Tactical genius on that night from Edwards, by the way, for everybody who thinks he's a tactical genius. And Vivash, I'm not subscribing to that. They done us on the day, but I don't see him as a tactical genius. But that's me being bitter and twisted. But look, the worry is obviously the Doughty situation. We mentioned what's your guess there? It's going to be a good few weeks at least, isn't it? 6 to 8. I think.
There's some people are saying 3 months, some people are saying 2 months. When Alex Neil, I can't think of his exact words, but he said it's not going to be anytime soon, I think was the quote that he used. That doesn't, and Doughty's reaction on Saturday, he looked gutted.
Yeah.
When the physios come on, sort of head in hands and stuff, he looked absolutely devastated. So he knows, the players know, they know their bodies, they know the injuries and how it works. So it's very, very disappointing. It's very, very much same old. We signed someone that there's lots of promise for, and they get an injury. Hopefully it doesn't fall down the same bracket as some players that we've had in the past, but it's a shame. Again, on the positive theme, I'm really looking forward to seeing Zach Sturge. There you go. I'm really looking forward to seeing Zach Sturge get an opportunity now. Joe Bryan, I believe, is a couple of weeks away. The difference, I think, between Doughty, Bryan, and Sturge, where we're talking about Sturge, is that he's quicker. And I think that instantly makes a difference at fullback, because you're up against wingers that tend to be quicker than other players on the pitch. So it is very disappointing, and we will miss Doughty, even the short time we've seen that quality. But very much looking forward to seeing Sturge get an opportunity and stake his claim for the starting position when everyone's fit. Agreed.
And I Hassan, agree with that comment. I thought he looked very assured, very decent. So and he's only going to get better, isn't he, Sturge? And look, let's be honest. Not that he would want a colleague, fellow teammate to be injured, but, it's his chance to come in and shine, isn't it? That's what he was coming here to do. So we should benefit from that. And I was going to say, just one thing I was going to say. The situation we're in, and we're all pissed off at losing Saturday and losing so badly, etc., etc. Who out of anyone would you want to be in that dressing room getting us lined up for Saturday's game? Who would you most want there?
Neil Harris? I'm joking. Before anyone, I'm joking. No, Alex Neil. I think Neil. He looked in his. I don't know if you've seen it on Lions TV, or Millwall, not Lions TV, or Millwall TV. Yeah. After the game, his interview. Whilst he was talking, he just looked mad.
Correct.
He looked like he looked like he'd absolutely lost his head at them before having to go and do media training or media duties. So yes. I think Neil would be perfect to get the players ready to go, and he'll know himself that maybe he didn't make the changes soon enough, or maybe he didn't have the options, and maybe that's been a conversation. He's gone back to Gallen and gone, look, I had to make those changes because that's all I really had realistically available. Can we speed the process up a bit? Can we get in target A, B, C, or whatever? But no, I think Neil is. I think he's the right. Of course, he's the right man. Not doubting him at all. Not at all. And I wouldn't want anyone to think differently.
And he'll want to put the wrongs right, won't he? And he'll probably be smarting from people saying he's been outfoxed by Edwards and Vivash. So. Let's hope as we're going to come on to our predictions for the Sheffield game. But before we do, I did a little teaser earlier for anybody who's joined. We've got 309 watching at the moment. So thanks, guys. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done so. Somebody was saying earlier they don't normally get on, Henry, I think, don't normally get on. So if you haven't, please like and subscribe. That's all to go towards the cancer research charity. It's free of charge to you guys, but it does a real lot of good for a great charity. So please do that. One little question for you. It's Joe's birthday today, the big 5-0. I'm going to keep saying that whether he likes it or not. So 19th of August, 1975. For those of you who were in your flares and your platform shoes and your long mullet hairdos, who was in the number one spot on the pop charts at the time? Yes, we had pop music in those days. I'll give you a little clue. It was a 5-man band or group, black group of singers. So no cheating and going on the internet. Come on, try and guess who was around in 75. Somebody said Queen earlier. Great guess, but no, it wasn't Queen. So, but yeah, look, while you're doing that, try and get your answers in on that one, and also start to put your thoughts down on what you think the score will be on Saturday for Sheffield United, as we just discussed that before finishing. So, Stephen, what are you expecting Saturday?
I'm expecting us to react from Saturday. I'm not expecting us to go. I think we'll go more Norwich than Borough. I don't think we'll come out with the 20 minutes that we got on Saturday at the Den. I think we'll play a little bit more reserved. I think Sheffield United will be under big pressure from their fan base to get their season off and running. They'll be incredibly disappointed that they've with their start. I don't expect wholesale changes. Obviously, Doherty will be replaced by Zach Sturge. I don't think there'll be famous last words. I'm not expecting, and I don't think there'll be many other changes. I think Neil will give them the opportunity to try and rectify the performance and the score on Saturday. The only possibility that I see is on the right hand side is Negley. He's the only one that, if Neil wants to be a little bit more solid to start the game, we might need someone a little bit more disciplined wide right to help with help Tristan Crammer. But that would be the only other change, maybe. I'm expecting. I'm expecting. Do you know? And this is, again, I don't want to put too much pressure on him, but I'm expecting Mihailo Ivanovic to come to the party on Saturday. I think there has been a lot of hype about him. All of us, 20 million, 15 plus add-ons, adding up this, that, and the other. But he hasn't quite got going just yet, and I'm expecting him to come to the party on Saturday. I don't know whether that'll be with him scoring. I don't know if he'll put in a good performance and maybe get an assist, but I would certainly like to think that that he's capable of showing us why he's so highly rated and why we've got a future strong prospect on our hands.
Agreed. He hasn't set the world alight as yet, but he does look fitter and stronger to me.
Yeah.
He's shoving a few players off him, wasn't he? And again, I was watching the playback. He's definitely beefing up a bit, Mihailo. And look, in my mind, I think he's got last season was 1 in 4, wasn't it? Roughly strike rate, Mihailo. And I think Coburn's at about 1 in 5, 1 in 5.5. So one of them's going to hit the back of the net soon. And Coburn hit a beauty there last year. So let's hope that's an omen. But I think I'm like you, Stephen. I don't see any change. I think Sturge will play left back. I think almost has to, doesn't he? Because what people are saying that what do you call it? Joe Bryan is a couple of weeks away. So he's going to have to do that. But look, just before we do that, I'll just quickly, some great groups coming in there. Tavares, the Jackson 5. God, I found the Stylistics. Who else was it? Somebody else was saying some great ones in there. The real thing, the right group has been mentioned, but you haven't given me the song, guys. So Chris Brown, I'll give you a hint. If you know the song, you'll get double points. So I'm saying no more than that. But scores are coming in. Looks like a lot of people saying 1-1, 1-0. What do you think? Is it a good time to be facing Sheffield United?
Sort of. Sort of. I think it is on the basis that we go there with perhaps a very much lowered expectations after Saturday. So the onus will be on them. They will be in our shoes. Their home support will expect from them. They will expect them to come out and be very, very good. And that doesn't always, that doesn't always get replicated with a performance. So I think it is kind of the right time. My only worry is that they have had a poor start, and they if they do start like a train, we might be in for a little bit of a tough afternoon. But I think for us, we've won our first away game. We can go there with confidence that away from home, that perhaps we are a little bit more, we can be a little bit more solid and defensive rather than offensive. So certainly might be a game that suits us.
Look, it's like a classic, could go either way, couldn't it? But I'm tending to think it's a good time to play them. They're under pressure, and their manager will be hugely under pressure. If we can keep it tight early doors, and certainly if we can nick a goal, I think then and go ahead, we'll be in a great place. Gary, I love that. When will I see you again? I'm not sure if that's said in jest or the 3 Degrees, that one of my favourite all-time songs. So good choice, that one. Sorry, just going through. Oh, Mr. Chandler has nailed it. Hey, our very own musician has nailed it. You to me are everything, the real thing. Oh, no, sorry. No, what am I on about? No, he hasn't. That's the wrong one. I'm getting mixed up now. No, sorry, Jeff. Good song, but that's not it either, I'm afraid. Very close, as you'll see in a minute. 1-1. Any more scores coming in? We'll get them as they come in. Right. What do you think, Stephen? Scoreline?
Oh dear. 2-1 Lions. The Serb. So people, there'll be a couple of people watching this that are not Millwall fans that are friends of mine, and honestly, I will have them believe that Mihajlo Ivanovic is the best player in the world at the moment. Obviously, he's not, but I'll have them believe that he is. So Saturday, Mr. Ivanovic announces himself to the championship, and he gets on the score sheet. I think it'll be really, really tight. I can't see it being more than one goal either, as in 1-0, 2-1. But I'll go 2-1 Millwall.
Well, look, I've got to say I'm exactly in that camp. I agree, 2-1. I think it'll be a close game, but I think we will, even though it's one of those places, we win one, we lose one, we win one, we draw. Draw wouldn't be a terrible result, but I think we'll set up the same, but I think he'll be more than happy to change it more proactively if needed in terms of formation, etc., which will give him the great opportunity to do that. Still not got this tune, guys, so we're getting close to the end. So I will give you, it was the Stylistics. Chris Brown and a couple of others got it. It was the Stylistics, but what's the tune? A very high-pitched, I'm not going to sing it, but a very high-pitched song. So a little clue there for you. So, Stephen, did you want to give an extra plug there for Ben's?
Yeah, absolutely. Ben is still in the chat, and he's been messaging me on WhatsApp going, "Oh, don't forget to say this, don't forget to say that, don't forget to say this." Chris has just said he's already looked it up, so he's been cheating on your little quiz. Quiz disco.
At least he's honest.
But Ben Green, he is a football manager fanatic. He loves the game. I've stayed with him a couple of times when I've been up north, and he's straight on the laptop playing, and he's proper into it. And he's decided to have his own YouTube channel, Ben Does FM. I have just put it in the chat. I've just added the link to go onto his new channel. If you could give him a follow, subscribe, he's on Twitter and all that good jazz. He is very, very keen for me to say he is not leaving the podcast. It's not a new venture where he's stepping away from doing the podcast. He will be back with us very, very soon. However, he's just following a passion of his. So if you can give him a follow, as I say, at the moment he's doing a Millwall save, so he's doing a Millwall season on there. But give him a sub, give him a follow, give him some love, and he will very, very much appreciate it. And if anyone that subscribes to him tonight, he has said the next away game he does, he'll buy you a beer.
You were going so great, and then you bloody slammed him. Nice one, brilliant. Love it. No, guys, please. As Stephen says, Ben's very passionate about that. So please support in any way you can. Before we finish, I'm just going to quickly have a look through and see if I've starred a few messages, just see if there's any we've missed here. What do you think about that, Stephen?
Sorry, the bench looked worryingly weak to make any impact for Plan B. Yeah, we kind of touched on it earlier that we brought on Langstaff, so that the subs were Langstaff, Leonard, Luongo, Zach Sturge, which was enforced, and Idemo Amaku. Obviously, Amaku was 10-minute cameo really, because it was right towards the end. Not enough for me in terms of firepower. We don't know enough about Benicio Baker, Lovelace, people like that. We haven't seen any of RBW yet. Kevin Nisbet is obviously, I think he's playing in the under-21s tonight or today, so he wasn't on the bench. So I certainly think the recruitment team have got some work on their hands, because whilst I think we've got players that can come in and maybe impact every so often, we're looking for someone that can impact on a regular basis. That's what we need, I think. So I agree with Alex, definitely. Or the previous comment, sorry.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, I think Chris said it in his first review, the Norwich game, didn't he? He said the bench was the only question mark. Is there enough there? Not bad, but not really game-changing. And I think that's come home to roost a little bit. And I think we do need a couple more signings in, most definitely. Look, that's a good point, isn't it? Look, this time last year, we haven't got a point and we'd let 7 goals in, and look where we are now with the
absolutely
great win at Norwich. Let's just have a quick this really good Ozcan. Thank you, Ozcan. You've given me real hope this week with I think
absolutely
2. I don't think they're both on. Is there both on there, or is it just the one? Yes. Don't be too downhearted. Year 15-16, first home game we lost 4-0 and we finished 4th. 93-94, we lost our first home game 4-1 and finished 3rd. Have faith. It's early days. Ozcan, you are the man. That is great stats. You'll be proud of those stats.
Absolutely. There you go. That's
yeah.
It's not all doom and gloom, guys.
I don't know if Fevs is still on. Fevs is our pal from the Bristol City fan podcast. Look at he's saying there, in a normal summer, you'd probably be happy with recruitment, but there are other clubs who've done a lot of business, but at this stage, you don't know if it's good business or not. Familiarity isn't the worst thing. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's really, again, it's really, really difficult, because you always want to be looking to improve the squad. You always want to find those players that are going to make us better. Obviously, Doherty, again, even though he's injured, but he is someone that does make us better. He improves the first team. When you're signing players because you have to for a squad, I think Luongo perhaps falls into that category. I think having to sign 2 goalkeepers fall into that category. You then just kind of feels a little bit disappointing. Coburn again was already here. It's not a new face. So I would agree. In a normal summer, had Coburn and Sturge not been at the club last year, and we brought in a 6'4" striker and a left back from Chelsea, a young English left back, to go with Doherty, you'd be going, yeah, here we go. This looks good. It's just because they're familiar faces and we've kind of seen them, and we know Coburn comes with the caveat of his injury record that it looks a little bit average. But don't want to panic.
Doesn't feel as new, does it? That's that thing, and that's so it's a good point from
absolutely. And I would argue, and again, I'll probably get pelters for this, but if Kevin Nisbet, for whatever's going on there, if Alex Neil sorts him out and gets his head in the right space and he wants to stay, we may have the answer. We may have the answer. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he will be shipped out when we find a suitable replacement. But again, the suitable replacement coming in is going to look like it's all shiny and new, and everyone gets a little bit excited about it. So watch this space.
The YouTube videos and what have you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because the Anglo will be straight on there. But that's very much a good link there. The Baz's point that Bez, is it Baz or Bez? Baz, sorry. Baz. All the players signed in January and not one of them has made an impact on the first team, including Kundal. There's an argument in there, to be fair. We were so excited January and it hasn't really materialised. Negley, you'd say, probably has. But the big one for me, the link is, for me, that front man isn't Lovelace. And I think Jeff said earlier, where the hell is Lovelace? That's I believe he was at the game Saturday.
He was at the game. He was at the game on Saturday. He told supporters at Wimbledon that he was 2 weeks away from training with the first team again. Is that the answer to having a little spark off of the bench? Who knows? Honestly, at this point, I don't know what the plan is with him, what they're thinking. Is he going to play? Is it because he was homesick and we give him an opportunity to come back down south? I don't know, but he'll be one perhaps that might be the spark we're looking for. But again, I'm not pinning any hopes on him just yet.
Yeah, no, I've got high hopes for him. I just like to bloody see him, to be honest. I think I just wanted to put up there. Somebody was saying, oh yeah. Oh, that was good. GC London said, I'm trying to call in now. Please answer, lads.
On that, though, obviously Chris would be keen for us to push that we obviously selected the people tonight to come on because we needed to test it, and it was easier to do that with people that are friends of Chris or the show, or Ben is a panelist. But if you are interested in it, it's not for everyone, and I know that people might not want to be comfortable talking or showing their face like we do or anything like that. But if it is your kind of thing, please do let us know. Tweet any of us or Chris, or send an email, whatever you want to do, and we'd be more than happy to get some views and opinions on. Look, we all want to talk Mill. I'll talk about us to anyone. So if you want to get on and join us, then feel free to.
And it's great, isn't it, to get different views and different angles.
Yeah, 100%.
Look, and while we're plugging shows, guys, the other thing to plug is, if you haven't watched it, Angelo's analysis. So that's another thing we're going to start doing. It's sort of come across it by chance in a way. Angelo genuinely used to do his own little post-match analysis, and he shared it on our group, and it was brilliant. And the guy said, you should stick that online, and he has done, and it's really... has it gone? Would you call it gone viral? Has it gone viral?
Yeah, it has. It's gone viral. It certainly has. But again, and that is a prime example, guys. Again, this is more on behalf of Chris. That is there a show that you would like us to do? Is there something that you want to see us talk about? Is the phone-in show perhaps something that we keep separate from the live? We do this because we enjoy it and we love it, but we also want to make sure that you guys are getting the content that you want, and we will do our best to produce that.
Spot on. Just very quickly, yes, Alex, I would imagine we will do Wednesday if we're playing Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Is that a tune? Are you saying, Mark? Nana is the saddest word I've ever heard.
I think Mark was going a bit. I think he was getting a bit stressed with not getting. There you go. It's driving me crazy. I think he's getting a bit stressed.
If I say it started with, we're going to finish in a minute, but it started with a trumpet.
No, get that off. Get that off. Get that comment off.
What's that? Well done, Ben. Yeah, like that. I'm just going to finish off, guys, with all of these. Stephen, any final comments as I whizzle through these and before I give the answer to the quiz?
Absolutely. Craig is talking of shinies. Are either of you getting the EFL sticker album in November? I am 34 years old in a couple of days. I absolutely want a Mihailo Ivanovic shiny sticker, Craig. So you can count on me for that one. Final thoughts. It's not time to panic. We are very much still looking ahead rather than looking backwards. I think we had a blip on Saturday and it's brought us all down to earth. And I think in a way, it could be a very, very much a blessing in disguise for the club. A couple of guys who someone kindly shouted out Stato to me at the ground on Saturday, and a couple of other people in the ground. Thank you very much for watching us. We do it because we love it, but we do it because you guys take time out of your day or evening, afternoon, whenever you're watching this, to listen to us waffle on. So thank you very much. I'm sure Steve will do this as well, but if you can please like and subscribe. All the funds go to cancer research. We're trying to do a little bit of good for charity. Chris has done amazingly well, and we couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you for watching. Thanks for the support. And we'll be back next week after 2 games.
No, thanks, Stephen, and look great as always. Correct. Nicely, well said. Yeah, look, and absolutely 100% on all that. Look, I'm just finishing off with these comments. Happy birthday to you there, Stephen, as well.
Thank you.
Look, I think people are asking, are we going to sign players? Look, without Garrett, I'll be really surprised if we don't bring 2 in. I think it might be 3. You never know, because there might be an element of panic. Who's going to go out? We don't know either. You forget that it's next week, isn't it? End of next week or the Monday? Is it
absolutely
the first Monday? Is it?
I think it's the first. It's the
first Monday. So that'll be interesting whether we do a show with that. We did last year, didn't we? And what have you. But we're going to wrap it up, guys. I think, look, every right for us to analyse what went wrong Saturday and be frustrated with it in various ways. I think we've all got to try and keep a lid on it and keep things in perspective. I think the great Carl Bates, our commentator, friend of the show, was saying Saturday, look, and on X, if you'd have said before the season you'd have lost again at Norwich, but then thumped Borough at home, would you be happy? And you'd have probably said, yeah, that's how I see it going. So, it's glass half full, glass half empty. Ben did a great job earlier of a glass half full approach rather than glass half empty. But at the same time, great insight from Phil and Chris on where probably the challenges are for us as a team right now. Guys, thanks for joining us. In terms of the answer to the quiz, it did come up eventually. Sorry, Jeff, I gave you a bum steer that you had the right answer. It was the stylistics, and it was I can't give you anything but my love. And that is a great tune. I don't know if you know that one, Stephen. Do you know
I know it. No, I do know it. I'm well versed in music.
Tune. Trumpet at the beginning, absolutely superb. So brilliant.
Oh, sorry, Chris. Sorry, Steve. Just before,
yeah.
One final thing, guys. If we can quickly go and tweet, message, whatever to Mr. Zampa. He's in the last few hours of his big 50th birthday. Be crystal clear. It's 50 today, Mr. Zampa, and he would love to get a message from all of you. So happy birthday, Joe. I hope you're enjoying it. I have been told, I have had a message throughout the chat saying that people can't believe that he's 50. They didn't say whether he looked older or younger. They just couldn't believe that he was 50.
I don't believe it. And guys, he's off to Milan at the weekend, and he's going to the game, which will be a great experience. But think of that poor bugger on the stands sat next to him when he starts telling him, I scored at Millwall once, let me just show you this video. Some poor Italian saying, oh, get him away from me. Yeah. So for that guy, I feel very sorry. Also, Chris Brown, I do apologise. I can't multitask. You should know. Apparently you did get the song and the tune, but apologies, mate, but well done on that. And I hope you didn't cheat and go online to check it up. But guys, thanks very much for all your input tonight. It's nothing without you. Please, please, please like and subscribe. It all goes to the great cancer research charity, and it really does make a difference. So please do that. And look, let's all really stay positive. I think we're going to really turn it around on Saturday and at least put in a really good performance. And let's hope it's a winning performance, which I'm confident it will be. So all the best from everybody, and have a good rest of the week, and look forward to the weekend. So here we go, and we'll see you next week. All the best. I'm going to play you all out in a minute.
This is for the blooper reel, guys. This is what happens behind the scenes. You're getting a sneak peek.
used to just be up there saying it would do the goodbye. So why does it not do that? Sorry, outro. And
See you next week, guys. Enjoy
Stop
your rest of
talking
your
either.
week. And enjoy Sheffield United. We're just going to keep going until we can find the button. So
if I just end stream, will that do it? Do you think, or that'll end
I
it?
think
Won't
so.
it?
No, I think that's right.
Yeah, right. I'm going to try that.
You'll be pleased,
right,
guys, that
we're there.
Joe will be back next week. So technical issues we won't have these quite same issues.
Don't worry, we'll edit all this out. It'll be fine. So thanks, guys. Thanks for your patience. Cheers, Stephen. See you soon. Bye for now.
See you later, guys.
Hi, it's Steve Morrison here, and you're listening to Chat with Chaps, chatting Millwall, come rain or shine.